The words of Psalm 16. I have set the eternal always before me. God is at my side, I shall not be moved. Therefore does my heart exult, and my soul rejoice. My being is secure, for you will not abandon me to death, nor let your faithful ones see destruction. You show me the path of life. Your presence brings fullness of joy. Enduring happiness is your gift. Sheviti Adonai leneged tamid ki mimini bal heemot lachin samach libi v'yagel kevodi af bisari yishkon lavetach כי לא תעזוב נפשי לשול, לא תיתן חסידך לראות שחת, תודיעני אורח חיים, אורח חיים. שבע שמחות את פניך, נעמות בימינך נצח. שביתי אדוני לנגדי תמיד, כי מימיני בא
My name is Matthew Leibel. I am a rabbi here at Congregation Shaarey Zedek, and I would like to thank all of you for coming and attending this afternoon's ceremony. We are here today to pay our respect to Alvin Corne, to remember him, to honor him, and to say our final goodbye. To the man who will forever be known among the Jewish community as Avram Zisi ben Koppel Dov Vitsina, the son of David and Lena Corne, husband of 56 years of Sharon Corne, brother of Martin Corne, and brother-in-law to Gail, father to Lindsay and Mimi, Stephen and Rhonda, Sean and Anna, Zeta to Zach, Leah and Dov, Lev and Razi, Sam and Zara, cousin, uncle, lawyer, and friend. Alvin passed away Sunday morning, the 30th day of the Hebrew month of Nisan in the year 5778. He was 86 years old. There is a story, a child and a sage. The child asks, "Tell me of life." And the sage answers, "Life, my child, is a mystery. We do not ask to be born, nor do we even understand the meaning of birth, of creation. We grow and we experience life's pleasures and pains. We love, and slowly we come to realize what we have become, that we are. At that moment, we humble ourselves before the mystery of life and quietly say, 'Though I know not, I have been granted the most precious gift of all, the gift of life.' Then the child asks, 'Tell me of death.' And the sage answers, 'Death, my child, is a mystery. It is the inevitable return of the gift of life, the gift which came free to us. We live as the trustee of that mysterious being, of that unexplainable becoming. Yes, you and I are but the trustees of life. We nurture it, we delight in it, we give of it to others. And at the appointed time, we sadly, yet with pride, return it from where it came. The beauty, my child, the sage says, is that what we are, what we have become, remains long after the gift has been returned. It remains as a precious keepsake with our loved ones who live on. And today, as we think of Alvin Corne, this story rings so true. Because what Alvin became over the course of his life, over his 86 years, will remain long after today in the way he has impacted, helped, and inspired so many people. Alvin Corne was born January 22nd, 1932. His parents, David and Lena, were both immigrants from Europe. His father, a businessman, the publisher of the Western Jewish News. His mom, a piano teacher. Alvin was born in the North End, but since he moved south at age 1, he was really a South Ender, let's be honest. He grew up on Elm Street. He went to Queenston School and Kelvin High School. He grew up with a love of music, probably from his mother, played the piano. He grew up with a love of family, spending every Friday night with his grandparents, playing cards. He grew up with a connection to this synagogue, Shaarey Zedek. Remembered attending shul at age 5, had his bar mitzvah at the old building on Dagmar Street. And he grew up with a love of his younger brother, just 18 months younger, Martin. Later they became colleagues. Always they were best friends. And of course they shared a bedroom until Alvin moved out. Alvin went to the University of Manitoba Law School. In 1951, he articled with his uncle, H.I. Corne, at the firm Corne and Powell. He became a practicing lawyer at the firm in 1956, and soon, quickly developed a practice specializing in conveyance and real estate. 2 years later, his brother Martin joined the firm, which was renamed Corne, Corne, and Corne. Alvin loved his work. 55 years was his legal career. He was drawn to the thrill of the deal. He loved being on the phone, providing for his family. He took great pride in all of that, but especially the fact that being a lawyer allowed him to help people. He developed a reputation for being incredibly helpful. His work was definitely one of his loves, but so were the people he met. In fact, Alvin Corne had a way with people, a charm. People met him, and for some inexplicable reason, always fell in love with him. He really was universally loved and treated everyone he met the same. Didn't matter how important or unimportant they may have been. He treated everyone the same. To this day, his wife and kids are stopped all the time by people telling them what a good man he was. Even just recently in the Simpkin Center, Sharon was stopped by a woman who said Alvin had been her family's lawyer, had helped her family, and they were so grateful. Even the staff at Simpkin Center, where Alvin spent the last couple years of his life, they all grew to love him. More loves of Alvin Corne included music. He loved to sing. In fact, when he was young, he toyed with the idea of becoming a cantor. And though he passed it up for the legal profession, loved davening, loved leading davening in shiva houses, and sang in synagogue. Everyone knew his voice in synagogue as it rose above everyone else's. Not only did music move him to sing, it moved him to dance. Most of the time, Alvin Corne was known as a quiet gentleman. But when the music came on and it struck him, his alter ego would take over. And he became Alvin Corne, the dancer. Big band music, Frank Sinatra. You'll hear a little bit more about that later on. But really, any kind of good music, Alvin loved, with a wide breadth of musical taste. Even in Simpkins Center, it was the music that kept Alvin going. And he would dance with his walker, too. He loved the Bombers, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 4 seats, never missed a game, always taking kids, family, friends, but never leaving a game early. He enjoyed the Winnipeg Jets as well, especially the first time around. He loved ice cream, the kind of guy you would catch eating ice cream right out of the pint in front of the fridge with the freezer door open. He loved the beach, Winnipeg Beach. His first job, in fact, with his brother Martin, was at the beach hauling luggage from passengers getting off the CPR train when they would arrive. In 1967, he bought a cottage on the lake, probably his happiest place on earth, where he would sit lying on the cot, a sun worshiper, basking in the rays, just looking at the lake, or later spending time in the gazebo, listening to the waves. It was very peaceful. In fact, when the cottage next door went up for sale in the 80s, the Corne family bought that cottage too. But of all of his loves, nothing trumped family for Alvin Corne. And family started with Shaarey Zenith. He met her at the beach, in fact. He was 18, she was 14, no big deal. She was there with her family, he was there with some friends, and the kids all met up. They were going to go for a ride. Some of the girls had to sit on some of the boys' laps. Shaarey had to sit on Alvin's. And what was the first thing he said to her? "Don't crease my pants." Their courtship was beautiful. Talking all the time, night after night after night on the phone, getting to know each other, talking about school. In 1956, they were married at Rush Pena. They moved into Lanark Gardens, later built a house on Mathers Bay West, as their kids came fast and their family grew even faster. Lindsay, Stephen, Sean, and Anna. They later moved to Park Boulevard. In fact, it's interesting, talking about Shaarey, Alvin and Shaarey were definitely beshert. Their fathers had known each other, Sharon's father and Alvin's father. And in fact, there was this meeting the family talks about. No one's exactly sure when it happened, not even quite sure remembering where it happened, but it seems with kids in strollers or carriages, Sharon's father said to David Corne, "Have I got a girl for your son?" Probably half joking. In the end, it worked out. And when it came to his kids, though he had a very demanding schedule and a very, very busy legal career, Sundays were always for the kids. They look back and remember him as being fun. With Shaarey, he traveled the world, Europe, Israel, and Jordan, Central America, the South Pacific, family trips to Florida and Hawaii. He always put her on a pedestal, always looked to see her as she entered the room. And in fact, one story was shared with me where she was out of town and he had a picture of her and he would give the picture a little kiss. These are just the brief sketches and outline of a man. But to get to know him better, we need to hear from the people who knew him better. And so at this point, I would like to call up his daughter, Anna Corne, and later, her daughter, Zara, as they will both share some words, personal stories and reflections on their father and their Zedek.
Hello, I'm Anna Corne, Alvin's daughter.
I'm Sean Corne, Alvin's daughter.
And I'm Mimi Uziel, his daughter-in-law.
On behalf of our family, I'd like to speak about our father to honor his life and memory. How to capture the essence of our father's life in a eulogy. How to summarize 86 years of life in a few minutes. Our father was actually a very complicated and unique man. He managed to embody characteristics that were seemingly contradictory. He was kind, warm, benevolent, and generous. Yet he was clever, assertive, and determined when he had to argue on behalf of his clients and provide for his family. He found a way to succeed in a challenging and competitive professional world, while still remaining kind, decent, and fair. To quote his brother Martin, his word was his bond. Our dad had an unusual gift for balancing these qualities. He was someone who had a shy side, yet loved music and dancing. For our dad, he would have reveled in one big party with all of you in attendance, and he would have danced with wild abandon to music such as Trini Lopez's song, La Bamba. Music was in his blood. Our dad was born into a musical family. His mother, Lena, was a piano teacher, and his father, David, not only played the violin, but could be heard weekly singing the brachot in this very synagogue. Alvin and his brother Martin, like most boys, were not thrilled with the rigor of their early musical training and sometimes rebelled, which resulted in the cost of a broken lamp or a bent Venetian blind. However, they excelled at their piano playing and reached a level of proficiency that allowed them to perform for Eaton's Good Deed Club on the radio. So despite that initial defiance, genetics and the love of music took over. Music, through sickness and in health, was a vital part of his life. Our father, Alvin, approached everything he did with ethics, intention, and boundless energy. This was particularly evident in his work as a lawyer for over 55 years. He worked alongside his brother Martin, who was not only his closest colleague, but a confidant. He was always brokering deals. In his younger years, he was tethered to the telephone. In the days before teleconferencing, he would get 2 different parties on the line and put the 2 receivers together to close the deal. He would put however many hours it took to see it to completion for his clients. He challenged himself. At one point, he set the goal for himself that he would broker a mortgage for clients under every single letter of the alphabet, and he succeeded. It didn't hurt to have a father-in-law whose last name was Zenith. He became an expert in the area of real estate law, to the point where other lawyers practicing in the field would seek out his advice. As kids, we were privy to the inner sanctum of his workplace, the office. He would often take all 4 of us to his office in the Paris building and let us loose while he checked in on things over the weekend. As an aside, for those of you who are wondering what we did there, it is possible to drop a stapler through the stairwell from the 10th floor to the basement. Let's just say it's been tested. While he excelled as a lawyer, family was the center of his universe. His family, his in-laws, it didn't matter. He drew no lines. Despite working long hours and being intent on providing materially, it was not enough. He wanted connection and to enjoy the company of his 4 children. From teaching every one of us to drive, to riding the roller coaster at the Red River X, skating at the duck pond, telling scary bedtime stories like David Copperfield, going to the Bomber games, playing badminton at the badminton club, golfing at Winnipeg Beach, and drilling and grilling us on our math facts. His love and interest in us knew no bounds. At the end of his long work week, we would always look forward to sitting down as a family to a beautiful Shabbat dinner where our dad would belt out the Kiddush with passion. Our parents, Alvin and Sharon, initially met and were drawn together by their similarities. 2 shy kids, one from the south end, one from the north end. As their relationship grew, they also found a way for over 60 years to allow for each of them to grow into the different people they became. Alvin, a lawyer with a keen eye for business, and Sharon, a feminist, activist, and visual artist. Our dad's love for our mom was like no other love. He found a way to support and honor her work and was always proud of her accomplishments. When she entered the room, all his attention was on her. As our dad's health declined and her love for as Alvin's health declined, her love for him, Sharon's love for him, was expressed in her tireless devotion to his care. She insisted on the highest level of care available and that it be dignified. As our father grew older, he never complained about his limitations. He continued to enjoy singing at the Simpkins Center, and he made friends with the residents and staff. He was a living example to us children and his grandchildren of how to grow old with dignity. He bore his illnesses with courage and stoicism. As children, we loved our father, but we didn't fully appreciate what others saw in him. But as adults, we came to learn what a mensch he was in the eyes of others. A mensch is someone that sticks to core and basic tenets of respect and remains open to love. Alvin may have judged himself at times, but had no need or motivation to judge others. He did not have an internal hierarchy of people's importance. He felt it was essential to treat all with respect and kindness, regardless of who they were or where they came from. But despite our best efforts, these words, in the end, can only carry one so far, cannot quite succeed in expressing our pride in our Father, our love for our Father, and the inexpressible ache in our hearts that is passing leaves. Dad, we love you and always will.
Alvin Corne, my Zeta. My Zeta was a strong, caring, compassionate, wise, and loving mensch. The definition of a mensch is a kind, empathetic individual. And that, my friends and family, is Alvin Corne, my wonderful Zeta. I will always be grateful to my Zeta for being an ongoing role model throughout my childhood. My Zeta was a giver. He provided for his family and for anyone who came his way. He was one wise, smart individual. He was a brilliant lawyer, and he has inspired me to want to work in the same profession one day. I wake up every day thinking I want to live my life as Alvin Corne, as my Zeta did, due to his characteristics of being a mensch. My Zeta taught me what love was. He truly loved his children, grandchildren, cousins, and friends. But most of all, I know he loved his wonderful wife, Shaarey, my amazing Baba, who has been so strong during this sad time. He would always tell me the story of how they met at Winnipeg Beach, their favorite place, and how he knew from the moment he met her that they would truly be together forever. I remember one time at the Simkin Center, I showed him a photo of my Baba Shaarey, and he kissed it. That is true love to me. My Zeta was full of life. I know he would want us all to carry on with our lives. I take this sad loss as a symbol to live life like Alvin Corne, and to live each day to the fullest. My Zeta was such a peaceful person. I truly believe if the world was full of Alvins, the Messiah would come, because the world would be such a peaceful place. I remember when I was little, he came to my house to babysit me, and he climbed up to the top bunk where I was sleeping and laid with me and rubbed my head until I fell asleep. He gave the most amazing head rubs. I had what I thought was an amazing relationship with my Zeta. I feel so fortunate and so lucky to have been so close and to have such an amazing connection with him. He was my best friend. I will always love my Zeta, Alvin, forever and always. Zeta, I know you can hear me as I stand on this bema today talking about what a wonderful person you are. We all love you and will never forget you and the amazing and beautiful person you were. Thank you.
As life became more difficult for our dad, when it became challenging for him to walk, eat, or even speak, somehow the power of music took over, and nevertheless, he was able to sing. Just a few days ago, he was singing his favorite song, the anniversary song, which showed his love and devotion to our mom. I know he would love for you all to hear it. Dad, this one's for you.
I now understand why I'm here. I only met Alvin once at a beautiful simcha. That's his granddaughter's bat mitzvah. And we had the honor to bring the Torah down to him where he sat. But now hearing about his early life, I understand why I'm here. And I guess more than that, I understand why we're all here. When I was coming here today, an expression went through my mind that the eyes are the window to the soul. I think that I believe, after living the years that I have, that a song is the door. Let me give you an example. Oifen pribachik brennt a fire und in Stub is heiß. Und der Rebell ein kleiner Kinderlach, dem Aleph Beis. Und der Rebell ein kleiner Kinderlach, dem Aleph Beis. Is the door opening? Oh, how we danced on the night we were wed. We vowed our true love, though a word wasn't said. The world was in bloom, there were stars in the sky, except for the few that were there in your eyes. Dear, as I held you so close in my arms, angels were singing a hymn to your charms. Two hearts gently beating were murmuring low, my darling, I love you so.
I'd just like to acknowledge and thank Cantor Len Udo for his beautiful singing to begin our ceremony and the beautiful rendition of the anniversary song right there. My meeting with Alvin's family produced one other story that I would like to share. It seems that, as his daughter Anna alluded, he was a man of balance, a man who could be aggressive if needed, fearless, relentless, high energy, but also a gentle man, kind, thoughtful, and as Zara said, peaceful. A man who took from life what he could, had a true will to live, never complained as he got older, always staying positive, always bouncing back from whatever life threw his way. The story that was shared was of a bar mitzvah in San Francisco, and he went and he insisted on dancing and taking his aliyah and participating in every part. Even though he wasn't feeling great, when he came back to Winnipeg, it was discovered he had done all of it with a broken hip. Truly amazing. In fact, these two sides of his personality are reflected in his two Hebrew names, Avram, Zisi. Avram, his first name, the father of many. It conveys feelings of being the provider we referenced earlier in a traditional fatherly role, helping his own family, but also providing for so many other people and so many other families. And then there's his middle name, Zisi. It's connected to the German word Süß, like Dr. Seuss. It means sweet. A man who at the same time was both provider, who could be all business, but who never lost his sweet side. Alvin, we will remember you, and we will miss you. Please rise now as Cantor Udo leads us in the memorial prayer, the El Malei Rachamim.
El Malei Rachamim, shocheina b'maromim, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, im kedoshim mutarim kezorarakim azirim et nishmat Avram Zizi ben Kobeldov Ziena Shalach leolamo Me'al rachamim Yasterehu beseter knafav leolamim Vayitzaror abitzaror Achayim et nishmato Adonai hu nechalato Ve'anucha b'shalom al mishkevo V'nomar Amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Alvin, Corne, Avram Zisi, Ben Koppel Dov Vitsina, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that he find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. The next stage of our ceremony is interment, which takes place at the Zedek Cemetery. Address is 230 Armstrong. We'll be driving in caravan fashion from the synagogue. We invite you and encourage you to put on your four-way flashers, but we will mention that we will be stopping for all red lights. We often take the route up Sherbrooke to Logan and over the Salter, the Slaw-Rebchuk Bridge, if you want to follow with us. Of course, you do not have to join us at the cemetery. If you choose to stay and wait for us here, it's likely we'll be back for the meal of consolation around 4 o'clock. Shiva will be taking place at Sharon's home, 207 Park Boulevard North of Corne, across from the park. Shiva will be observed for 3 days, tomorrow and Thursday evening from 7:30 to 9:30, as well as Friday afternoon from 1:30 to 3:30. We do want to mention that the parking ban on Park Boulevard has been lifted, so you should feel free to park on that street without fear of getting a ticket when you visit the family, and comfort all those who are mourning. A funeral is all about respect, as we mentioned off the top, paying our respect to our beloved Alvin. The highest form of respect, in fact, our sages teach us, is given at the funeral. In fact, accompanying our loved one to his final resting place. To make this happen, we encourage you, of course, to come with us to the cemetery, but we also have a custom here at Zedek. We will ask you to form 2 rows on the steps of the building through which the casket can pass. In a moment, we will ask the family and the pallbearers to leave. Then we will open the doors and invite you to form those rows on the steps. We close with the words of our tradition that we use to comfort mourners. Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch sha'ar avelei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you and all who mourn among those who have mourned in Zion and in Jerusalem. We thank you again so much for your attendance. I would now invite the family and the pallbearers to exit by way of the chapel. In a few moments, we will see you on the other side of the doors. Thank you.